Hello there, this is VR49 and I am a game developer working with a small indie team comprised of 3D meshers, texture artists, and animators, and I would like to present to you some interesting ideas that we've already began to successfully develop. How would you like to play a game where we and the community gives you tons of available assets, and out of those assets you customize how your character moves, behaves, interacts with others, and even combats? How about, on top of all that, we help you build a world with a theme in which you can bring your friends or meet new people, and then with these people you host a session with your chosen theme, and then in this session you all roleplay. How about, on top of all that, a community of people already in their own such universe can come visit you and join your session? That's what we're trying to do here. And we've already more than halfway gone into a prototype. In fact, we have a few prototypes available, designed as their own games that take advantage of the features we just listed. First off, what is this thing? Well, it's a game engine built in a game engine with a cross-platform cloud multiplayer system that uses an optional toolset that creates an optional bridge from an already existing 3D virtual chat service. What's this optional part I'm saying? Well, it's a virtual chat universe called IMVU that can join you. So that's you playing the game, and then all of a sudden an avatar from a different service pops in and says hi, perhaps even decides to stay and play. So while you're playing, another avatar from a different world downloads his outfit from that world into yours and joins your session. This is just the beginning. Here's the kicker. The game engine we're building is built for an efficient development system which allows us or the modders to churn out their own worlds, levels, and assets. How? First, we built a Unity game. In this game is a Unity avatar with a third-person controller. This third-person controller has running, walking, sprinting, aiming, crouching, ragdoll, some basic stamina elements, basic object interaction, as well as recovery after getting hit from ragdoll. Also, we plan to have different types of walking animations, first by gender, then by style. We later plan to implement movement for quadruped avatars, like animals. Second, we attached a cross-platform multiplayer system to it, called Photon, and created basic interactions, a chat system, and made sure it all syncs right across the world. Third, we attached it to a toolset that allows IMVU users to join by having their avatar temporarily downloaded to the game for the duration of their stay. Now, I'm going to stop here for a bit because I want to say that based on just these three things, we've started making a couple of different games already in prototype stages for you. So here's a couple of them. First one is a variation of hide and seek. Players are chased by player monsters trying to activate a random exit where they all must escape from, while meanwhile hiding in various environmental objects and searching for items to use against the monsters. While the monsters use various abilities to hunt them down, the players are working together against the monsters, and any items they find help them either fight off the monsters or keep their survivability till they find the key to the exit, of which they all try to escape. The second is a variation of team deathmatch. It's a water balloon fiasco with traps, AI enemies, and labyrinths, with the goal of having your entire team reach the end of the labyrinth. Your whole team has to get there, which means all your players on your team is supposed to help them get inside the exit zone. That's when you win. The water balloons are given to you as ammunition in various different types, with various different nifty and cool attacks that can soak a player, causing him to need to be dried up in order to be recovered back into a playable state, fighting against the enemy team once more. The third is a social chat environment with physics. It will have open source assets for modders and developers to tap into, and they can take advantage of our toolset They can take advantage of IMVU's toolset and take advantage of a pre-configured and working and updated configuration of the Unity Photon Network package. We will provide our own, either via Unity Asset Store, which would require you to download IMVUnity and Photon separately and combine them in the Unity editor, as per instructions that we will give out in order to get started. Or we will create a build with all of it already working, and a system where you will just be able to drop assets in and easily activate them in the game. Now, these assets will be assets you, if you happen to be an animator, wanted to create that you want to use in the game, as well as 3D furniture and rooms, and as well as animations that you can attach to the character. We might even do both, depending on our priorities, budget, and milestone, to have the ability for the build to take in your assets and to have an open source version in the Unity store. Okay, so the fourth is a survival horror game involving a specter that hunts players with a light source. Now, this specter is a ghost that, when it stops moving, goes almost invisible. When he crouches, it turns into a puddle. Any player that happens to walk in and not see that they're going into a puddle, this ghost will warp up and take ownership of him, possess him. And then that player can then hunt other players without them knowing, fully controlled by the user who is playing the ghost in the first place. The players will have flashlights, and with these flashlights they can light up the ghost, and the ghost loses spectral energy as it's being attacked by the light of the flashlight. The ghost can fly and go through walls, but it consumes the spectral energy. It's a survival-based game, so the ghost is in charge of trying to take out all the human players before it's time over, and the humans are in charge of surviving until the end of the timer. The timer settings and the duration, how many ghosts players, can be set by the host in the lobby. And the last thing we're going to do is we're going to port a game engine into Unity, which is already by itself available inside the IMVU client. So it will become an engine within a game engine. Now, this game engine creates mechanics between a massive online shop that IMVU has. So it's a game engine I created in IMVU, and it has mechanics that sync multiplayer actions and reactions of avatars and their environment using all the products they're comprised of. Now, this is significant in the IMVU client because IMVU client itself has no physics, no avatar collision, no distance detection that any developers or the community can tap into. In IMVU, you move by dot clicking, and when you click, it teleports your avatar to that dot. And if a developer happened to have installed an animated pose and a loop on that dot, you will assume that pose. That's as much interaction as you can get in IMVU. Oh, as well as the ability you can click other avatars and activate a drop-down menu of animations that IMVU has provided for you in order to do some interaction. But it's static, which means it will play out the same every time, and it's for social elements, which is enough. We plan to expand that using the Unity game engine. From here on in, we plan to take the foundations we've created from our game engine and working games and apply it to consistent worlds, housed on servers where people from around the world can roleplay in and, as we said earlier, with users from IMVU world that can drop in and participate in yours, bringing their own virtual items with them, as well as they can create these same worlds and you can join them. Okay, so what is this game engine that I'm constantly mentioning that we want to port into our Unity game foundation, which we've already built as a prototype and tested out successfully in IMVU? Okay, well, I built this engine in IMVU first to prototype it. To prototype the idea because IMVU has this wonderful variety in their online shop, with over millions and millions of products of anything between eyebrows, skin, accessories, and clothing to animations that can layer over each other when combined. So with such a wide variety that their online shop has, it has allowed for some very interesting experimentations in creating a game engine that can combine and create gameplay elements in an environment that otherwise has none. And it has allowed me to figure out a logic of building a scripting language from scratch that can encompass any theme that the users dish out for their roleplay environment, and that the developers or role players can use to create or churn out products that are compatible with it. So they can take a real-time manifestation of the desired character and environment and create it with this game engine. You know what is the closest example I can think of? Ever heard of Vampire the Masquerade Redemption or Neverwinter Nights? They got a storyteller system that the player can put together from a static level. Okay, now if you can picture that, but with the ability to pick turn-based or real-time action combat, you're getting closer. And if you can picture having the ability to dictate the combat style of your character in near microscopic detail, as well as the NPCs in the area, and furniture and items that you have ownership of in the environment, then you're getting even closer. And if you can picture these abilities being carried over into other games we make, as well as the ability for users and community to add their own assets and mod the system, anything from the stats to the NPCs to how they behave to what they say, to how the gameplay is going to be like, with the game engine that we've offered, then you're right on the money. What about those people who just want the action, never mind the story generated by the population? So they don't want user-generated story or content, nothing modded, but an official plotline and combat system they can play in single player or maybe in co-op, like an action RPG. Well, we got a few titles in the making that will more please the action RPG gamer. We pre-configured and balanced our mechanics using the same game engine that we designed for role players, except we make pre-configured scripts, pre-configured assets, and create an official campaign with an official story and set gameplay, taking advantage of the creative talents of our development team. In the meantime, we're updating and carrying over the best working bits to our older and newer titles. This is why we busted our butts designing a foundation that can help us easily port over our work and manage assets across various platforms. Because as we update the base of our software, we want the roots of that tree to expand into all our other games, which will be automatically updated. So we hope you're excited about this as much as we are, and we hope you support us in our endeavor to make this happen and push our prototypes and game engine ports into early access to have as Unity game states. That said, this is VR49 signing off for now.